Hi everybody, so today we're going to be looking at how to create your own custom tab bar in SwiftUI. For the images I'm going to be using in this tutorial, I'll put a link to them below so you can download them and follow along. But if you wanted to, you can use your own images. And obviously as well, you can take the core concept that I'm using in this tutorial and you can completely redesign the UI and make it fit your own specification. Right, so to get started, let's just create a little struct and we'll call it tab bar view, and this will be of type view. Now in here, let's define our body. First element we're going to define is a V-stack, and this V-stack will be the background for our items. Let's just set some padding. Let's set a background colour for this. We can go with system grey 6, and then let's just set a corner radius as well of say 25. And then in here, just for now, let's add a little text element. And down at the bottom, let's set a preferred colour scheme of dark, so it's in dark mode. And then up here, let's actually use the tab bar view. So tab bar view. And then when it's finished running, you can see our V-stack appearing with the background as expected and the text inside of it. Right, so let's define a couple of properties up here. So first property we're going to define is an items array. So these are going to be the items that it displays. It will just take them in as a string array. Up here we can just pass some items in. And then here let's just delete this text and put in our H-stack. And this H-stack is going to be responsible for horizontally laying out each of our items. So the first thing we're going to do is create a for each loop, and let's iterate over the items. ID will be \self index in. Just so we can see something on the screen, let's create a new text element in here. So the text will be items, and we'll pass in the index. And we can also set a frame modifier here and just set a max width of infinity. And by setting a max width like this, it will force the stack view to horizontally stretch to fit the screen. Cool, let's now work on our custom items that we're going to be displaying within the tab bar view. So we'll create a new struct down here and we can call it tab bar item, and again it'll be a view. And then in here, let's start off by defining a couple of properties. So we'll take in a name, we'll take in an image name, and it'll have an as active flag, which will be set to false just now, and that just obviously indicates whether or not the item is currently selected. And we're going to have a vertical stack view with a spacing of 8. In here we actually want to change the UI of this item depending on whether or not the item is currently selected. So what we can do is have an if condition. If is active, then we show something. If not, then we show something else. The two versions of the UI that we're going to show are going to be very similar, so rather than copying and pasting most of the stuff between the two conditions, we can just come down here and create a new method, and it's going to be a view builder func fetch UI, and it'll take in a colour, and it'll just return some view. Let's start in this method. So if you've never seen this before, view builder is just an attribute in SwiftUI that allows you to construct views from closures. So this var body in itself is a view builder. So if you go in the view protocol, you can see at view builder body. Let's define our UI in here. First thing we're going to need is an image, and that's just going to be image name that we get in. And let's just set a size for this image as well. Frame width is just going to be image size, and same for height. And then let's just set a colour for the image as well. So we can set it as rendering mode to a template, and foreground style, and that can just be whatever colour we get in. And actually we can move this rendering mode up here. Then let's just define our text, and that will be the name that we get in. Again, setting a colour for it. and we can just set a font as footnote. To now call this method, we can just go up here, call fetchUI with selected colour, and then an else block, obviously just unselected colour. And now let's put this struct to use. Go up here and just call tab bar item, and then for the name we just want items at the current index, and we can just call capitalized. And then for the image name, that will just be the same, items at the current index. And then for isActive, so we actually need a state property to keep track of which item's active. So we can just do that here, at state, and then var selected index equals 0, and then selected index equals index. And so our UI is now rendering on the preview, we can see to the right hand side, but as I'm tapping the icons, nothing's actually happening. To get it to update, all we need to do is just go down here underneath the frame modifier and set an on tap gesture, and then just update selected index to be the index, and then as I tap you can see it updates. And for a bit of extra flair, and if you wanted to animate this, it will be a very subtle animation, but if you wanted to animate this, it's actually very simple. So you can just use the with animation block, and then put this into the block. You can see there's a very subtle animation. It sort of fades out and then fades back in. This tab bar is fully adaptable, so if for example we wanted to remove one of the options, it resizes and it still fits the screen and everything still works as expected.